Welcome to Faith on Film with Isaac Hernandez and Holly McClure. Keeping you informed on faith and family entertainment.
Hello, Holly.
Hi, Isaac. I'm excited about the show today because we're going to talk to a young filmmaker who's made a documentary that everyone should see. Hi, I'm Blake. I'm telling you, it will change people's hearts and lives. It's an amazing story. Miracles.
Very compelling. So, you know what? I know that we've got a lot to talk to him about, so let's just go right on to the trailer and then come on to him.
Let's do.
Who's that, Chelsea? Blake. All right.
Blake is incredibly athletic.
He was definitely more shy.
Good morning.
He is the most positive person I've ever met.
Happy birthday to you. 8th grade, first day of school.
Gymnastics has always been the one thing that he's really enjoyed. He's a level 9 and level 14 is Olympic. And he did that all the way up to his accident.
A Texas gymnast is in a Fort Worth hospital after a terrible accident during training. His injuries were so bad, Blake Highland is now in a medically induced coma.
A local teenager has been in a coma for nearly a week. The doctors told his parents he may never wake up.
Doesn't matter what they say. What matters is what Blake does. You've painted a picture of where your son's going in life. And then, bam, it's over.
How old are you, Blake?
Is there something you're ready to give up on? It's gotten too hard?
Well, to a young man who's proving the impossible is possible.
Blake is improving faster than doctors had predicted.
He will not ever be exactly who he was.
It's teaching your child to walk again, talk again, think again. How's that fully restored?
That's the sport.
When you look at traumatic brain injury, you have over 1.7 million people that are affected each year.
Brain injury is the silent epidemic. It's not discussed. Blake's willing to discuss it.
I want to help other kids get through what I'm going through.
He's like the son I never had.
From the very beginning, they said that Blake would probably be not independent. Well, he's proved them wrong, every step of the way.
People need hope for the future and hope right in this instant. Hi, I'm Blake.
Well, Isaac, we have our special guest, John Michael Simpson, in studio with us today.
Welcome.
Hey, guys.
Hi, welcome. And he is here for a film called Hi, I'm Blake. It's a documentary, actually, that he made. And both Isaac and I have seen it, John Michael, and we love it. It was really different than what I thought it was going to be. And I mean, it touched me emotionally. It is a wonderful story of what could have been a tragedy and how God miraculously turned it into a happy ending, and so to speak. But let's talk about, first of all, I've known your mother and father, Micah and John Simpson. I've known them for years and years and years. And in fact, they're producers of another network, and you've been in Christian media for years. So you kind of grew up in that. Where did you go from growing up in a house of faith and watching parents do what they do to wanting to get in the film business yourself?
It's, well, thank you both for having me. And it's really great to be here and talking about the film. Growing up, and it was cool to see my folks do what they did. And I feel like it was just like a subconscious thing of just, I would see my mom and dad, work from the house, or I would get to go with my mom and see her interview people and see her on set. And it kind of just was taking it all in. And not giving it a lot of thought at the time that it's happening, because it's your parents, and you're like, oh yeah, my parents, they do stuff, whatever. You're just you're like a kid, and you don't fully understand what they do. But I'm like, I know my dad does something in radio, and it didn't really hit me until I got older. Probably when I started studying film, in college, and then I started producing my own content and everything, and looking back and being like, wow, they set such a great example of like, hey, you can have a family. You can live like a normal-ish life, and you can still go out there and create. And I think they were always just huge supporters of what I wanted to do. And they weren't really the kind of parents that were like, oh, I don't know if you should take that risk. Or I don't know. In fact, my mom was, and my dad, they were both the ones that kind of like pushed me towards when I'd kind of veered towards doing something else. They're like, hey, you know what? Maybe you should come back and look at this film thing. Or, you know what? Are you auditioning for anything? Like, you should still be out there performing. And so they've always been huge supporters.
No.
You actually started this documentary out of the tragedy, knowing the family. Give us some background on Hi, I'm Blake and how it all started and began.
Yeah, so I first met the Highlands. I mean, they were my next door neighbor. They grew up next to us. So literally my first time meeting Pat, who's Blake's father, I'd kicked a ball over the fence and I went over the fence to get my ball. And Pat, literally, I was small enough to where he could like pick me up and put me over their fence, which was being built at the time, and help me go get it. So we just had known them all our lives. Chelsea and I, their daughter, we went to school together. We were in the same grade. And Blake was always, he was the younger brother in the neighborhood, and we'd go run around the neighborhood, and he'd always be kind of like our little shadow toting behind us. So they moved away when Blake was in around 6th grade. And by that point, I had gone to college. And so when this accident had initially happened to Blake, it wrecked our community, and it obviously impacted us just because we loved and cared for them and wanted Blake to pull through. And, at first it was just a lot of checking in and making sure that they were okay and praying for Blake's recovery. And the thought of a documentary really wasn't there at all until they started posting about the amazing progress he was making. And it just so happened that at that time, there was a short film competition happening at UT where I was attending film school. And it was like a kind of a broad, topic where it was like, hey, tell a documentary of an inspiring story of someone overcoming great odds. And I couldn't think of a better person than Blake in the Highlands. So I picked up the phone, I called Pat, I said, hey, Pat, what do you think about this? There's this national competition. It was being put on by Participant Media at the time, between the top 100 film schools in the nation. And it was to make a 2-minute short doc. And I kind of explained it to him, and he said, John Michael, I think this would be a great idea. I think we could encourage a lot of people with the progress Blake's having. And they talked with Blake, and we were on board. So it started with the short film. And from there, we made the short film and ended up winning this competition. And then I just had that, when you just get one of those ideas where it's just like, it just keeps visiting your front doorstep or something. It's like a dog that won't go away from your house, or you're just like, what do you need? I just kept thinking about Blake over and over and his family. And I was like, I don't normally get hooked on something like this. Maybe there's more here. Maybe we could follow Blake's recovery a little more. And it just came like that, a piece at a time. I definitely hadn't made a feature documentary before. I'd made a lot of short content, but this was like, I was definitely just jumping in head first and really know what I was doing. And we kind of figured it out together.
Okay. Give background of what happened to Blake before we talk then about the documentary, so that everyone understands what the story is about.
Yes. So, Blake was a teen gymnast, and he was performing at a near Olympic level, is kind of like where his, quality of his athleticism. So he's doing this new trick. It's a really complicated trick. It's like this front full that involves a twist. And there was supposed to be padding down at the gym where Blake was performing this, but it just so happened that the padding had not been placed down. So as Blake's performing this move, he comes down, he's spinning, he's gaining a lot of momentum. His head hit the side and it hit the concrete with the force of a 60-mile-per-hour car crash, and it made him suffer a traumatic brain injury, is what it's called. Wow. And so he was put into a coma. He was given a 50% chance of survival, and the odds were really bleak in those initial hours. But thankfully, Blake went on to have a miraculous recovery. They were told, hey, when he wakes up, he might not be the same son you remember. He might be in a vegetative state the rest of his life. He might not be able to move his eyes. He might not be able to walk. He might not be able to talk. And slowly, and you get to see this in the film, Blake learned to do all those things. He learned to move his eyes. He learned to walk. He learned to talk. And in fact, you get to follow Blake not only gaining motor function, but getting back into school, becoming an incredible student. And there's a challenge there too. There's this reality that the family is having to learn how to paint a new picture for their lives that they don't really want to paint. They don't want to, it's a really tough pill to swallow when something like this happens to a family member. And so it's just as much about Blake. It's also just as much about his parents, and they're wrestling with that. And what do we do? And how do we paint this new picture together? And so, it's a really encouraging, uplifting story, but obviously it's one that's also full of very real, pain that they had to navigate together.
Right. Now, I understand this took you 6 years to do this documentary, and I understand why, because, you're following that progress, which probably took him that long. Is that what you had intended from the minute you decided I'm going to do a full feature, or did you think, I'm just gonna tell the story up to, and then it just kept on going and going? What was your process on that?
That is a great question. No, I did not think it was going to take 6 years. Truth be told, we didn't know. We were like, we didn't exactly know what end we were trying to get to. Initially, it was like, well, let's follow Blake's recovery. Let's understand his goals and let's see him, try to achieve those. But at first it was just like texting with the family and trying to understand when major moments would be happening. If there was like a big surgery on the books, or if there was going to be a big moment like Blake trying to go back to school. And so for a while it was, it wasn't grasping at straws, but it definitely wasn't like, okay, we're super zoned in on an ending here, until we got to sit down with Blake, and he kind of got to express some goals of like, hey, I want to go back to school again. I want to graduate. I want to have a family. And then when he kind of said those, I was like, well, we can track him going back to school. Let's let that be like our Mordor that we're seeing him get to. But it took a long time to kind of figure it out and find it.
Well, at what point did you go, okay, I don't need to go to a 7th year? What was it that happened that you went, that's it, we've ended the story?
Yeah.
For other documentary filmmakers who are thinking about doing a documentary.
It's true. It's just like you always have that friend that's working on a doc. It's like, oh, are you still working on that? It's like, yeah, I'm still working on it. No, I mean, we filmed, there were a couple of moments. There was one that was this really, brain injury awareness walk that we got to film Blake and his family at. Mm-hmm. And being there and filming that, there was a part of me that's like, okay, cool. We're seeing Blake now take what's happened to him, shine a light on others, and kind of get the word out and take this terrible thing that's happened, but use it as a force for good, and improve the lives of others. And I thought maybe that's it, but it didn't feel quite right. And then, bit of a spoiler, but when we were at Blake's high school graduation and we're filming there and we're seeing the caps go up in the air and we're seeing the elation on, the Highlands' faces and stuff, I kind of just had that feeling of like, okay, this is our ending. We've got it. And it was weird. It was weird after, being lifelong friends with them, filming with them for 6 years. I mean, I would just like come to their house and stay with them for a week at a time. And we'd wake up, first thing in the morning, and I'd start rolling with them just to see what kind of verite we could capture. And I think that lent a lot of great things, a lot of intimate moments, a lot of really, really tender moments with the family. But it also was kind of hard to put it down. But yeah, that graduation was when I was like, okay, I think we found it.
I in the film, what are the parents' named again, and his sister?
Yeah, so Pat Hyland and Cindy Hyland are Blake's parents, and then Chelsea Hyland is Blake's sister.
Okay. Yeah. Because in the film, what I loved was that you interviewed, the sister had a whole different reaction. Her life all of a sudden got shoved to the side because of this brother situation, and her dating and romance and everything in her life got put aside. Even today she's dealing with it, because I saw her at the film premiere and she was there, and it was, even today she's still dealing with it. And then to watch the mother, but what she went through caring for him, and clothing and feeding, and this was hard. I don't know if I could do that. I think he was ready for that. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I totally agree. I'm like, if this happened to me, I could only hope I would react the way that Pat and Cindy reacted and the family reacted. And Blake, what's crazy about Blake too, and what I feel like his superpower is in the film, because as far as like the people you're watching arc and everything, you're really seeing Pat and Cindy go on a little bit more of a journey in the film. And not that, of course, you're seeing Blake go on an enormous journey, but his acceptance and where he sits, it amazes me and it encourages me. Whenever I was in the thick of trying to figure out how to edit this, raise a little bit more money, build a little bit bigger team to help us finish this, like, what are we going to do? And when kind of things felt like hopeless, or felt, like, man, I really don't know the next step with the film, Blake was right there as an encouragement to me of like, look at what has been presented to him and look at how he's responding. He's joyful. He's content. He's not bitter. He wouldn't take this back. And I'm like, I don't think I would respond the same way, but yet here's an example of how I could. And I don't know. He really amazes me. Yeah.
Yeah. You just brought something up that stirred a question in my mind here. You said when you were in editing, and it just made me think, wait a minute, if you did this for 6 years, you have got to have had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of content to all put together in 90 minutes. Wow.
It was so hard. The first cut was 5.5 hours long. And I remember getting it and being like, I don't know what to cut. I got it to 5.5 hours. I don't know how to take this thing down at all. And thankfully, I met an amazing editor, Lee Rothenflew, who came on and opened up his facility. And so much of this, making this film, I really have to stress, was just generosity. The film was raised completely by donations. People like Lee came on for either very little rate or reduced rate, or they were just coming because they believed in the project, they believe in Blake and the film, and they wanted to help. And then eventually, as we raised money, we were able to really get those professional bells and whistles put on. But it was a labor of love for a long time. And yeah, it was a lot of me staring at a monitor until Lee came along and we took it from 5.5 hours and we got it down to 2.5. And then we're like, oh my gosh. And then once you get it down under 2, you're like, how are we going to lose 30 more minutes? But we got there.
One of the scenes that, and I know it's kind of a spoiler, but it's not, but I mean, one of the scenes that was in there that really touched me, and I'm bringing it up because I think it's important, was when I think Blake asked his father if he had his gun, because he knew his father carried a gun. And his father said yes. And he took out an unloaded gun, of course, but he took it out. And didn't you say something? Tell that story, because that really impacted me, because it told Blake was alert and aware of where he was headed, and B, the father, what would that do to you? That was an emotional moment for me in this documentary.
Yeah, that was, I remember, the interviews were interesting. We probably did 2 or 3 different master interviews with the family over the course of the 6 years. And that story that you're mentioning actually came out in one of my last interviews with Pat. We're at his home, and Pat kind of starts it off in the interview saying, I've always said Blake hasn't had a bad day in this whole experience, when there was one. And it was when Blake was in the hospital initially, and he had come out of his coma, and things were just starting to, he was just starting to learn how to regain motor function and things, but he didn't quite have it yet. So he wasn't really moving his eyes yet. He didn't have full control of his body. And Pat did carry at the time. Of course, he wasn't carrying in the hospital, and he didn't have a weapon with him, but they'd given him a toy gun. They'd given Blake this toy gun to help him work on his reflexes, to just like get him to pull his finger back and forth and just kind of increase the motor function there. So Blake asked for that toy gun, and Pat puts the toy gun in Blake's hand, and Blake held it up to his head. And as soon as Blake did that, Pat grabbed the gun from him and started praying with him and just encouraging his son of just like, hey, this is, not going to be your story. But I think that moment did go in later in the film too. I remember seeing it, not being really sure what to do with it. But I think the power of that moment helps you to see that Blake knew I think the desperation of the situation he was in, and he is a real human that's experiencing a full range of emotions of like, what's my life going to be like now? And that story probably, like Pat said, was Blake's one bad day of really, I think, just realizing the weight of what was going on and having some thoughts of, maybe it'd be better if.
How old was he at that? How old was he?
Blake was 14 at the time. Yeah. So. Can't imagine, but and I'm telling you, I sat down and would interview Blake, and I'd be like, "Hey, what's hard about this?" Or tell me. And after that moment, nothing. There's no darkness in Blake. There was nothing that, there wasn't anything we weren't hiding that was on the edit floor of him saying like, "Oh, this is really tough." It's just like he just turned a leaf, and I'm amazed. Yeah.
Wow. What was kind of cool about that too is there was a lot of footage, I guess, that the family took, because I noticed in the documentary there seemed to be a lot of home video content, which just made it so cool.
That was a treasure trove, finding that came maybe a couple years into the process. And it's kind of one of those things where you discover, it's like making a film. It's like building a house, and you're like, okay, I've got like my lumber over here, my bricks over here. And like when we found that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a treasure trove of stuff we can use to help get people into the moments of what it was like to just be raised in this family and be with this family. And we were able to kind of do some things of showing Blake growing up again, of here was him growing up as a toddler, and now kind of look at him relearning how to do that as an adult, and it made for some really powerful moments. So they did an incredible job just documenting their lives.
John Michael, also you have worked with I think it's the Brain Injury Association and Ronald McDonald House.
Yes.
Tell how you guys work with them and how people may not realize it, but brain injuries are more common than I think people think.
Yes. So brain injuries are known as the silent epidemic in America. They affect millions of people, but what's hard about brain injuries is obviously you can't always see it. It's not a physical trait like you might see with cancer or with some of these other major diseases where, it leaves a more visible kind of scar on the person. So raising awareness for brain injury is huge and is what kind of the family and the film aims to do, as well as just being an encouraging, inspiring story. There's a lot that needs to be done. Thankfully, Blake was in Texas where he had his brain injury, and there was certain legislation and things in place to help him have a really good recovery. But in other states, sometimes they'll treat it like a broken leg, and they say, hey, here's your 30 days of what you need to go and do rehab, and that's it, which is not the case. With brain injury, it's your whole life. You're recovering forever. So there's just a lot of work that needs to be done in some of those areas, and you kind of see in the film how Blake and his family become advocates for that. We've gotten to partner with the Brain Injury Association of America, and they're helping us get the film out there. The Ronald McDonald House, as you mentioned, as well, is an incredible organization. They had Blake and the Highlands stay at one of their houses in Dallas for 9 months while he was going through his initial recovery. And essentially, the Ronald McDonald House, it helps to give families a place to stay near hospitals if they live far away and a loved one is going through recovery. So we got to film a lot with both the Ronald McDonald House of Dallas and with the Brain Injury Association, and they're both really incredible organizations that are making a big difference in people's lives.
Okay, tell what you didn't get to put in the film, because I think what's important for people to know, he did, and it's not spoiling it, but he did graduate from high school.
Yes.
And even more. What else
Yes.
did he do?
I know, it's so funny when we originally made it, we have the ending credits come up with like, Blake is now, doing this and that and such. And it's like, well, a lot of it's changed since then. So yeah, Blake just graduated from Texas Tech with honors. He made incredible grades. He is currently public speaking and doing stand-up and kind of using his story in a way as a motivational speech. And so he's getting to go around and do that for various organizations. And he's currently working at Biddy and Bo's Coffee in Waco, which is a coffee shop that helps employ people with various disabilities. And he likes to say that he loves to serve caffeine and smiles all day. So if you go to Biddy and Bo's in Waco, you'll find him there, and he'll chop it up with you.
And jokes. He tells jokes.
Oh, jokes.
Oh, he loves jokes.
Oh, yes.
He does. Now, you're not done with the Hi, I'm Blake. Now, apparently, this is becoming an anthology. There's several more Hi, I Am other people coming around?
Yes.
You're not going to take 6 years for each one, though, are you?
No, I can't. No, I don't think so. It was it was around this time a year or so ago that we got introduced to Chip and Joanna Gaines's new network called the Magnolia Network, and they picked up the film and they turned it into a documentary anthology series called the Hi, I'm series. And so, like Hi, I'm Holly or Hi, I'm Isaac, where we get to go and follow other people that have encouraging or inspirational stories. And we've gotten to do 2 other episodes since then. One was called Hi, I'm Sevi. And the other one that just released this past Veterans Day is Hi, I'm Travis Mills. And those are both on HBO Max, and really incredible people and really incredible stories. And yes, they did not take 6 years. Those we did all within a few months span of time. So pretty different.
They're not necessarily tragic stories though that have a good inspirational ending, are they? Or are they all some kind of tragedy?
No, they're like Sevi is an artist based in Houston. She's 17 years old and she's nonverbal and has Down syndrome. But she is one of the most collected abstract artists in America. She's got a 2-year wait list. Her work is really, really incredible. You should check her out. Her name is Sevi Marie Eicher. And then Travis was a veteran who was on his third deployment in Afghanistan when he did encounter an IED, and he became a quadriplegic. But he went on to have an incredible recovery, start this foundation called the Travis Mills Foundation that helps other veterans recover and have a place with their families to go and just kind of be a dad, be a mom, be a friend, and relax for a week. And so he's got a really, really amazing story as well.
Well, for other filmmakers, I mean, you went from, I just kind of wanted to follow him for a while, and let's make a little small documentary, and let's make a picture documentary. And now you graduated, and now you're working with Chip and Gaines. I mean, my gosh, Joanna, that's like, people are like, wow, Magnolia, that's pretty big.
Yeah,
I mean, are you excited where God's taking your career?
I'm so thankful. I mean, I would have, if you would have told me that this is where it would have all ended up, I wouldn't have believed you. 10 years ago is about when I started filming with Blake. It was 2014. And Hayam Sevi just got nominated for an Emmy this past December, and we were at the Emmys, the Children and Family Emmys. And I'm just sitting there looking around, and I'm like, how did we get from telling Blake's story to being here? This is incredible. So no, I'm absolutely thankful. I would have never have known that it would have led to this. When I'm sitting down with the president of Discovery, and she's like, hey, what do you think about telling some more stories and us turning this into a series? It was just another one of those moments where my jaw is just on the floor of just like, I could have never predicted all this. This is so beyond me. And so I know I'm very thankful. I'm very excited to be doing this. I love telling stories. I love getting to sit down with someone and interview them and get to be brought into their world. And telling documentaries and filmmaking is so incredible because you get to become a student. You get to become a student of different people, different backgrounds, different stories, and it's the best job in the world.
And tell who you were sitting at the table with, or I'll put it this way, tell who your film was up against and who won, because you were in pretty good company.
We were in good company, yes. So there was a documentary on Charles Schultz, the creator of Peanuts and Charlie Brown, and it was created by Brian Grazer and Ron Howard, and they ended up winning the category, which I was hard to argue with. So.
Oh my gosh! Well, for people
lose to the best, yeah.
For people that want to watch Hi, I'm Blake and more of your works, how can they get in touch with you? How can they follow you? Where can they see this?
Yes, so Hi, I'm Blake. You can go to hiamblake.com. It's available anywhere you rent or buy your films. So Apple, Amazon, anywhere you like to get your films, you'll find it. Or you can just go to our website, hiamblake.com. For a list of any other work you'd like to see of mine, you can go to my website. It's just johnmichaelsimpson.com.
Well, John Michael, thank you. People, you have to go see Hi, I'm Blake. Isaac and I both agree. It's not what you think. It takes you beyond just, it's about a boy and what he went through and all that. Honestly, you see God's miracles all through it. You really do. It's a very inspiring story. Yeah. So thank you for making it, John Michael, and thanks for being with us today.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me and letting me ramble and talk about what I love, and I really appreciate it.
Well, I hope you inspire other filmmakers,
Yes. Oh, yeah. Thank you. I hope so, too. Anyone can do it. Just grab a camera and start filming.
For 6 years.
For 6 years.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Write to us at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Faith on Film TV. Also, go to our YouTube channel, Faith on Film TV, and hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications on our latest Faith on Film shows.